So where does the apostle Paul get this figure of a flame of fire as read in Second Thessalonians chapter 1 verses 7 and 8? In the unveiling of the Lord from heaven with the angels of his ability in a flame of fire, where we see the same expression in Hebrews chapter 1 verse 7, where I think Paul or Luke wrote this epistle. So Paul wasn't getting it from this epistle. It's being used again. And this is actually the second coming of the Lord. This is the execution of the judgment, where you see throne mentioned here. But to the Son, he says, your throne is into the eon of the eon. When the angels here are being made in the figure of a flame of fire. So who is making the spirits into his angels, and the flames of fire into his officiators, where again we see this expression, just like we've seen in Second Thessalonians, in the unveiling of the Lord from heaven, which is the context here. When the Father, he again leads the aforeborn into the dwellage. Throne. So where does this figure come from? Well, I'm convinced it comes from Daniel chapter 7 here, where no doubt the Apostle Paul read the Epistle of Daniel. Okay, and this whole chapter is about the minor horn, the little horn, who is the Antichrist. So here we read that Daniel became a visioning one until throne chairs were brought up. Hebrews 1:8. And the secluded of days had seat. The son of the human. The clothing was bleached white as snow, etc., etc. And his throne chair, Hebrews 1:8, with captive taking ones of flame, flames of fire, its rolling wheels with a chasing flame. So, when we understand how to correctly cut the word of truth in relationship to the watch time orders, which I talk about in most all of my videos, we can discern that verse 9 here is the context of what Paul said, if somehow I may get into the out resurrection, which is the uploosening, Luke 12:36, concerning those who come into the wedding feast as officiating angels in the figure of flames of fire, according to the first watch time, disappeared in verse 38, which is eventide here in Mark 13:35, when the Lord of the house comes, Hebrews 1:6. Where then if we jump down to Luke 12:49, we see another figure where Jesus used the expression concerning casting fire on the earthland. And what do I want if it were already up light? So this is the kindling, the first stage of the fire in relationship to the disappeared first watch time, like here. According to when he should uploosen, going away out of the wedding, where those who are coming into the wedding when judgment is executed first, these are the angels of his ability in a flame of fire in the unveiling of the Lord from heaven, 2 Thessalonians 1:7 and 8, where in Hebrews 1:7, the spirits are being made into his angels and the flames of fire into his officiators. When he again, the Father, leads the aforeborn into the dwellage. So this, verse 7, is eventide. However, when we get down to verses 13 and 14, the context changes. Now we see those having seat at my right hand, who are according to the heavenly on seat. Okay, including all who enter the wedding feasts at midnight then, which is the second watch time conclusion order. And that's what the mystery entails. So are they not all officiating spirits who will be dispatched into the service to have seat to judge among the angels of Matthew 25:31? Okay, and I talked about this in my last video. So we, according to the mystery and the heavenly on regency and the heavenly on gift, everything to do with the heavenly on are the angels here, including those from eventide and midnight, which is also seen now in Daniel chapter 7. Remember, Daniel 7:9 is the execution of the judgment, the up-loosening, the uplight of the fire, the out-resurrection, where when his throne chair with captive taking ones of flame here leads into a large stream of flame, which becomes present. Then we see 1,000 thousands sunbeamed to him, and a myriad of myriads arose before him. This is midnight now. This is the rapture. And then we read the adjudication had seat. This is the heavenly on seat. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 6, to let us take seat together in the heavenlies on in Christ, according to the mystery, chapter 1, right here, the mystery of his well-deeming into the guardianship of the dwelling law for the time of the completion of the terms, to uphead all in Christ, from eventide to midnight, which is the heavenlies blessing, the heavenlies on blessing back here. The little on shows the superposition of this calling, that he outchose us in him before the downcast of the cosmos, where again, as I explained in the last video, the before here is different from the from in Matthew 25. Matthew 25:34. So those who will law accordingly allot the regency here, having been prepared from, not before, but from, is not the heavenly on gift. The heavenly on gift are those who come here to the glory of the angels, who will have seat to judge according to the heavenly on, seated together with Christ. So that when the dwelling of Israel is being judged and all the nations, etc., those who will be made to stand at the conclusion down here are my least brothers. This is not according to the heavenlies on superposition regency. It's according to the regency prepared from the downcast of the cosmos, in contrast to before the downcast of the cosmos, which is a heavenlies on blessing. Those who come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living God, to the heavenlies on Jerusalem, and to 10,000 of angels, Hebrews 12:22 is Daniel 7:9, and then to the outcalled recorded in the heavens is Daniel 7:10 at the conclusion of midnight. This is the heavenlies on calling here. Hebrews 3:1, the heavenly on gift, Hebrews 6:4. Daniel 7:9 is Hebrews 12:22, and Daniel 7:10 is Hebrews 12:23.